Hey, listeners.
What?
If you haven't joined Stitcher Premium yet,
What?
now's the perfect time.
Why?
Stitcher Premium gets you completely ad-free episodes of hundreds of shows like Comedy Bang Bang and WTF with Mark Maron and How Did This Get Made? You also get
What?
You also get 21,000 hours of exclusive content. New exclusive originals like Marvel's Wolverine and Issa Rae's Fruit are launching every week for Stitcher Premium members. If you love podcasts, you are missing out. I personally love the heck out of Comedy Bang Bang and How Did This Get Made? Those shows honestly inspired me to do this one.
Listen to WTF. He interviewed Barack Obama. It's a good interview.
And that's
show. You
cool.
should listen to it. Yeah.
When you listen to ad-free episodes in Stitcher Premium, your favorite podcasters get paid. Help support your favorite shows and join Stitcher Premium today. For a free month of listening, go to StitcherPremium.com and use promo code CRUCIBLE. You know how to spell it.
Crucible!
Well, hey, guys.
Well, hey, birds. Swain's already asleep.
Yeah. I've lost the Swain section of the market share. Hey, it's nice to be back. We had our little Tuesday thing, and hey, you know, it's fine.
I was trying to think about it. Like, I was like, do I have a week? Like, what's what I was going into this week? I was like, well, who's off this week? Are we still doing this? Like, are we still doing breaks? But no. We're all here. We're in the same room.
Mm-hmm. We're actually all in the same bed together, right? It's like all of Charlie's grandparents from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, just head to toe to
We
head.
zigzag and the mic in between us.
Oh, let me see if these little legs work. No, this is a great episode to have the gang all back together. We got a
Bed
solid.
sore free.
Yeah, somehow I haven't been out of this bed in 40 years. No, we got a real solid episode. We've got an interview with Drewski coming up for the, I always say second half. It's going to be second 2/3 of the show. It's a solid interview.
Arcade Fire is here.
Arcade Fire!
Musical guest.
And to top it all off, we've got like the TWAB to end all TWABs.
We literally
Okay,
just
so,
got too overwhelmed by information before writing our outline, and we're just like, I don't know, we'll just wing it. There's too much.
How about this? They introduced Warmind. There was the reveal stream, and they talk about it here. And that's literally all we're going to say about it because there's so much other stuff to talk about. Like that on its own. It looks cool, right? We're going to have fun.
Introducing,
wow.
Hold on. Anna Bay. Am I right? High five, listeners.
Oh, both of you.
Yeah.
Did you just invent that?
Yeah, right on.
Wow.
Luckily, that's the thing about, being really ahead of the curve. Releasing a podcast a week after something is announced is you get those jokes in, you are just crushing it.
Guys.
What?
I've played it already.
Is it good?
Yeah.
Is that
Oh, shit.
Did you just break NDA?
No, I think I'm good.
You're allowed to say that?
I'm allowed to talk about the Warmind, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, confirmed. It's good.
Yes.
All right. You heard it here first, folks. Or like, I don't know, maybe not.
I mean, the very small part I played was really hard. And they made it harder, apparently, because of the feedback that we gave. So if Escalation Protocol is too hard for any of you guys to finish, direct your blame at Pope Bear on the Destiny community podcast, because he was very adamant it could be harder.
There you go. Hey, hard is good. People like hard. Let's keep going though, because we got a lightning round this stuff. Good Lord. We've got exotic masterworks, and we've got exotics in general. But this masterwork thing, so you get an adventure. All these words are taken. I want to say like a quest or an adventure or something. You go on a spirit journey, and you do something for this exotic. You have to figure out what it is. They're vague.
It's a giant community puzzle to figure out what it takes to get each.
Yep. You've got bounty-like objectives, but yeah, they're not telling anyone anything on this thing. And you gotta go chase it. But not determined by RNG. That's nice. I like that. What's first on your guys' exotic masterwork list?
Whew, that's a big question. I got overwhelmed. We've already asked Drewski this, and I was like panicking.
Yeah, you've had time to think about this, Bonesy.
I know. I have to see how the other exotics change. Like, I'm so curious about how Sunshot plays. What is Telesto the same? Is Graviton Lance like my new favorite pulse? Like, I really want to know. But I think I could see myself going for a Masterwork Rat King just to be the guy with a Masterwork Rat King. Mm-hmm. Should that one be available? Even though that's probably going to be like, I don't know.
It really all depends on like what it takes, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see. I feel like I should just Masterwork Mida just for the hell of it. If it's available. Obviously, they say it in the TWAB that not every exotic is getting a Masterwork right away.
Right. Yep.
So
I don't know if we've heard anything about this one, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I've not heard anything tuning or Masterwork wise for the Prospector. I hope they do stuff with it and it's cool and I can Masterwork it and be that guy with the exotic Masterwork Prospector.
I did see someone using it in the stream. It was not the featured player who they had the camera on, but I saw the kill feed and they actually died to Prospector. So I'm wondering if it was, in rotation because they were all, experiencing the new fun stuff. But yeah, we didn't get any hints.
This is interesting. I think it's got the potential to be like the Telesto of grenade launchers, which sounds like such an enormous pain in the ass to play against, which is kind of my thing. I hope it comes around.
It's so crazy. I keep thinking about it, and it's funny watching these reveals. How every time I see it, I'm like, "That's nuts! Everyone's going to be using that. That's so cool." And then I'm like, "Wait, there's like 14 other guns that are as nuts." And it's
the new shiny thing. Whenever they put out a new video, it's like, oh, shiny. And you're like, I'm going to use that. That one's the one.
Like, I can't wait to use Graviton Lance. And then literally a day later, I'm like, I forget.
Graviton who?
We got some specific details on exotics. Tractor cannon seems like a real thing happening here. You guys want to talk about tractor cannon? Should we just keep moving?
It's going to be if this suppression is just nice and instant and you get that punch kill right out of their supers, that's awesome. I think that's actually a pretty powerful tool. I think that's worthy of equipping as your exotic weapon. I'm just picturing some sort of like last stand, cap the zone in a trials game. Maybe even popping bubble and saying, "Come get me," and a blade dancer and a hammer. They both going like, whatever, here we come. And they're just going like thunk, thunk, and just disassembling them could result in one of the like most badass plays ever. I feel like the clip potential is so high for that. Shutting down supers and getting kills and doing that multiple times. That is crazy.
The more I think about it, the more I think tractor cannon will play into what I like about Destiny.
A suppression gun is nuts.
A suppression gun. That's crazy. And one thing that just occurred to me is that when you get suppressed, you can't use your secondary jump. And so like tractor cannon, as a weapon to send people off the edge of the map, or like even like not even to fall to their deaths, but just like
down
1
stairs.
foot higher than they're able to jump back up before the timer runs out.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind. I can never remember the name of this map anyways. It's fine. Move on.
I have it's not related to really the changes because it's doable now, but the move with tractor cannon, and I am not the guy who uses it that much. But one thing I did was so cool, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to repeat it, but in Super Smash Bros. Melee, you can spike people where you attack in the air off the side of the map and you rocket them downwards and there's no chance of recovery, and it's a very stylish kill. I did that to a guy on Distant Shores where I floated higher than him. He was kind of jumping to the ninja route by B, and I just happened to float as high as I could with my warlock and went thunk, and I shot him straight down. Like no hover, no try to move, no go horizontal. It was just like boom, and I just spiked him into the kill zone, and that was just the coolest move ever. So I want to try to recreate that.
We see hard light is in a way that never quite materialized in D1 is like the trick shot meme auto rifle.
I love that someone immediately pointed out that you just shoot it down in front of you and bounce it up towards someone.
Yeah, did I thought Noose might have said
just like
that
skip
on the
rounds.
Yeah, he mentioned it.
Is that going to be like, we're going to be after this drops like, hey everyone, you got to aim for those headshots. It makes all the difference. Unless you're using hard light, in which case you want to aim for 1 foot below their feet. It'll hit them in the dick. It'll be great. They'll hate it. We've got Borealis. Maybe we could just walk past this one, right?
We're all on PC.
Let's just wait for that to happen. We've got ranked playlists. Okay, here's one thing I wanted to clarify because I read this, I was confused. And then I went and checked on the internet, and it turns out I was not the only person confused. And Kevin Yanis, aka Tocom, clarified this for us. Much appreciated. So glory, right? You get glory when you win games. Glory rank goes up.
What
climb
kind of
through
games?
The ranks. This is only comp playlist. Your Valor is a casual quick play Rumble Mayhem thing. So you got to be playing that comp mode. One thing I was not clear on because this wording was a little bit strange. Here you go. Each week your glory rank will change depending on the number of games you played, maxing out at 3 games per week. Players ranked Fabled and below will earn bonus glory rank points each week. Very confusing because it sounds like only 3 games per week count, not the case. You win a game in the comp playlist, your glory rank goes up. You get, if you are Fabled or below, you get bonus points, and those max out at 3 games per week. So basically your first 3 games of the week, you get some extra glory points for playing. But there is no cap to how much glory you can earn if you want to grind out everything in your first week, just playing comp nonstop in a darkened room wearing a diaper. You have this option. I just was unclear on that. Little slightly odd wording in the TWAB there. You guys really thinking about me in a dark room wearing a diaper now? Huh?
I am now.
No.
I'm just gonna
sit with it.
I'm just gonna go shoot stuff and grind up. I'll figure out the points as they happen. There is so much
right?
so much info and stuff like that. I'm anxiety ridden now that I get clearly labeled in my skill level for the first time in this game.
I've said it before, and when we did our Bungie Please episode, I wanted that carrot to chase, and because I like it in Overwatch, I like the rank system there. I really just want to see how it feels in Destiny, because it's going to be really hard to compare it to something else I've done, because very different games. So I want to get a feel for where I am in the skill brackets and what grinding can do towards that. So if I keep playing a bunch, do I start to do much better? And maybe I'll put more time into it. We'll see.
You know, all those people who don't realize that this show was founded on the idea that we want to learn, and that's why we bring on good player guests, and it's not us being good at the game. All those people who still haven't realized that,
terrible.
They're going to have so much fun saying that we're only in heroic rank and making fun of us. Like, why would we listen to this show? Well, it's because the guy in the last half hour is a legend, so that's why.
Yeah. If you combine the two, us and the person we bring on, we have a very high average.
Yep. Averages out nicely. I find the specifically the aspect of you lose a game and you lose rank. And you think, okay, well, it's just a bad beat, right? But I'm fine. They were a good team. Come back, and then you lose another game. Like that downward spiral is quite stressful for me. I enjoy the comp playlist in general. I think it's a great thing. That particular aspect weighs heavily on me. Although it's nice to know that it's like, all right, I can just go play quick play. I can still play some Crucible and not have to worry about it. Hey, still like earn some Valor points. I will say they've got this pulse rifle reward, Redrix's Claymore. It sounds real cool. Like
it's only around for one season.
It's only around for one season. It is both a cool gun and a badge of honor and a carrot that they're dangling, a very specific one. You make it up to Fable to get it. I don't like being put into the Skinner box where I feel obligated to go get it because you have to go get it. Because, you didn't get Redrix's Claymore? Do you even play Destiny? Like, I understand that I'm being put into this grind and it's just there now, but I'm kind of okay with it. I want this gun. Put me in the box. Make me press the buzzer and chase the cheese. I want this fucking cheese. This cheese seems cool. Give me the cheese. Also, just regular cheese. I'll eat any type of cheese. All right. Anything else on these comp playlists that we got to mention? We got a lightning round this stuff. There is so much in the TWAB this week. Oh my God.
Yeah. I'm bleh. One thing that stood out for me, it's truly the one thing I want in Destiny always. They're trying to make a better effort towards matchmaking teams against teams and preventing solo players from queuing up against 4 stacks. And holy shit, is this all I ever want from this game? That's my one thing that I've been pretty honest about, maybe more in private chats, but like, that's good. I like the system. So basically it's saying that now that the more people on your team, the stronger that matchmaking system will kick in. It'll try harder to balance your skill level with the fact that you have players on your team. And it makes a lot of sense. And I really hope to see the effects of those changes, because what I really want is to sometimes, while I'm working on that Valor grind or whatever, is to just go in and have a game where I'm not having a terrible time.
Yeah, it'll come into play a little bit harder with rank, though, because I have a feeling that's why they pushed it forward as far as it could be to make it happen for this, because I would not be happy if I was like in ranked and I just kept getting like, no one's around at this time of day, and I keep getting matched into 4 stack, and I'd be like, and everything goes down, and then you get angry. And
I think it's really important right now too, because adding ranked gives you an expectation for that, and I feel like that was sort of the point of having the 2 playlists when D2 launched. It just sort of didn't feel like that, because you could go into quick play and, just get destroyed. And you felt like, wow, wait, this is the scarier playlist. So now that ranked is here, they really have to reinforce quick play is for fun. You're just grinding that rank up. It's always going to go up. And now when you go into competitive playlist, you know exactly how the matchmaking is going to work. And I think that's a really good thing for player expectation when they're clicking each playlist.
We've got another Iron Banner coming up. It's Control. Hey, Nito. Interesting that they're looking at just making Control the permanent playlist for Iron Banner in Season 3, which, yeah, that's interesting. I think it's a good use of 6v6. Like 6v6 Clash, I could see being a bit much compared to having 3 points on the map that kind of anchor play a little bit and divide the teams up into smaller team fights. And prevents just like the full 6, firing line stomp.
I enjoyed it. We'll see how I enjoy it after like 3 of them.
Yeah. My only wish for Banner, just can you sell the fucking grenade launcher, the Aura Wings Maul? I just sell it. Just sell it to me. Don't. I grinded for it. I did the thing. It didn't. Just give it to me. Just let me buy it, please. Also, a moment of the week this week was really good. I liked it. I thought it was a great job showing off the right way to use Devour, like eating your grenade to do the Devour.
Yeah, that massive ran out of metals game.
Yeah, right? Like
I'm hungry for grenades.
He did a 4-kill Devour chain twice in a row. Just, yeah, good play. Good play. All right, well, we should get to this interview with Drewski. But first, could you guys ask me how I'm doing, please?
Birds, how are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for asking. I want to plug old Birdsy before we get to the end of the show. I was just on the RNG cast last night. It was a great conversation. I like those guys, and y'all should go check them out. You should listen to my episode. I thought it was particularly good, but they put on a pretty good show in general. And they, with Birds on this episode, completed the trifecta. All 3 Crucible Radio hosts have joined them to talk. So you can go collect them all. Just twitter.com/theRNGcast. Go check them out.
I'm going to piggyback this, Birds. And say that I think it comes out this same day that this does. I'm going to be on Guardian Radio.
Oh,
look at you!
A long time coming. That's awesome.
I'm the Mesa Sean this week.
Yeah, I can see it.
Did my hair.
You gotta get the glasses.
And one other thing from Birds. Bones, could you ask me again how I'm doing?
Birds, how are you doing?
I'm having a real identity crisis. Guys, I think I'm a Dawnblade main now.
Oh, boy. Preface this segment by saying this was the first thing I used in D2. Then continue.
No, absolutely. Like, I am coming to this extremely late, and probably everyone else is all about this. But, like, I think on some level, everyone knows, like, okay, Bottom Tree Dawnblade has got the Phoenix Dive. I think fewer people than you think know that the Phoenix Dive instantly restores like a good chunk of your health when you use it, like 30 to 50% of it. I think even fewer people know that there's like almost no cooldown on it. It's like a couple seconds. And that very few people know that you can jump 1 inch into the air, use it a second later, have like half your health back, and just spam it the whole game. And then with these strafe burst movement stuff and the boost to the super, like I feel weird playing other subclasses now and not just being able to spam instant health back.
It's free recovery.
Yeah. It's free real estate, baby. I don't know what's going on. I like it. I like it a lot.
I spent a lot of time with Dawnblade since Go Fast. I will say that the changes did definitely make Top Tree feel fun and good. I think there's definitely the choice between the two now, but man, I did go back to the Bottom Tree and I do like it a lot. It fits my style. The floaty jump was really tough to work with. I made some really good plays with a sidearm, but I think the in-air dash is a little, I don't know. It's not doing what Twilight did. Maybe Twilight was just too powerful, but Bottom Tree with the super tracker, it is so much better than the Top Tree super. I'm sorry. It is so good. And I've made so many plays once again with that super, that it's just good.
I will also admit that I have been using Dawnblade.
Wow.
This last week.
What is going on, Crucible Radio?
And mostly because I'm trying to fill out the next Solar Flare montage with more than just Sunbreaker. So I'm just sticking to Solar subclasses.
Makes sense. You get a bunch of Goldie clips. This Mayhem.
That's next. I want to do that next.
You should get them before Mayhem ends because Golden Gun and Mayhem were built for each other. It's rude. I got my clips. It's rude.
The biggest thing about my biggest upset about Top Tree Dawnblade is that when you're suspended in air, it's really hard to get sniper clips because of the in-air accuracy. Like, I wish it was just a little bit more, because as you're floating down, it like messes with where you're supposed to shoot your sniper.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm enjoying right now, is sniping.
Yeah.
Also, I need more hunter exotics, so I can get clips. So
yeah, so it goes.
I didn't get to plug my thing, because I hadn't pulled it up in front of me while you guys were doing a plug, but can I do that now?
No, its plugs are over.
Yeah, sorry, you missed it. No, okay, fine. I'll allow it.
The weekend of June 22nd to June 24th at the Esports Arena in Las Vegas, the Vanguard's Destiny 2 Esports charity event is going down. It benefits St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. And guess what? It's all but official. Got a little DM on Friday, middle of the day, from our good buddy Fallout, and he goes, "Yo, Bones, I'm doing this thing and I need my partner for it." So Fallout and I are going to be one of the live commentary teams in Vegas at the Esports Arena.
What?
Yeah,
man,
that's nuts.
I can already. Your hair is going to be looking. So
it's
cool
going to be so
day.
good. I own very expensive hairspray now, and I got my Suavecito pomade. My hair is going to be perfect. I do have to pick out some outfits though. I got to figure out the dress code. I'm like nervous.
I don't think you can go wrong, man. Stick with the classics: leather jacket, leather pants.
No, dude, I need one of Karamo's 40 bomber jackets. I think it'd be great if every scene over the course of 3 days, whenever I pop in for a few minutes, I'm in a different satin bomber jacket.
There you go.
And Fallout's constantly like double taking to like looking at me, and I literally moments ago I was in a different jacket, and he's just like has no idea what's going on. But yeah, that's really exciting. I'll getting more info soon and stuff like that. I'm not sure what really my task will be, but I know that Grenadier Jake and BW are partners, and MTash and True Vanguard will be doing commentary as well. And Fallout and I are very happy to be joining the ranks and helping out with that event. So I'm really stoked.
Oh, well, congrats, man. That is genuinely exciting and very cool.
Yeah.
Let's round it out. We are going to this Drewski interview in just one sec, but we're going to round out this little mid-episode plugs, a supposedly fun thing we will never do again, and give a shout out this week to our sponsor, the one, the only Audible. They make it happen. Look, audiobooks are a great sidekick for summer activities. You go hiking, you go running, you're going on a road trip, you're enjoying some downtime outdoors and more. Listen in while you're doing it. They've got the largest selection of audiobooks on the planet. Audible lets you fill your summer with more stories like, I don't know, a post-apocalyptic robot western, Sea of Rust. This is my favorite fun, standalone, well-written, perfect vacation sci-fi book. It is a robot western set in post-apocalyptic America. It's exactly what it sounds like, and it is way better than you thought possible. And it's got a great reading. Sea of Rust. Go check it out, guys.
I've been listening to lots of Star Wars books, and I had to re-listen to a book twice on the plane because I fell asleep for some of it. But The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. Man. I'm going to try it waking up much earlier and be more sleepy.
Oh, man. Okay.
But I'm excited.
Audible is just really awesome for me because when I consume stuff like that, it's in the car. And having an audiobook for half an hour to and from work is the only way I'm going to get a book into my life. And that's awesome. So as an Audible member, you'll get credit every month for any audiobook, regardless of price. And unused credits roll over to the next month. You can just save it, pick something out then, no rush. And if you didn't like your audiobook, you can exchange it, no questions asked. Plus, your books are yours to keep. You can go back and re-listen in case you fall asleep on the plane. And you can actually cancel your membership, still have them. Better yet, you can switch seamlessly between devices, picking up exactly where you left off, whether on your phone, through your car, from a tablet, or on an Amazon Echo.
So start a 30-day trial and your first audiobook is free. Just go to audible.com/crucible or text Crucible to 500-500. That's Audible, AUDIBLE.com/Crucible, CRUCIBLE. Or text Crucible to 500-500.
You can do it with audiobooks.
All right. With no further ado, we got to get to this one. This is Drewski just knows stuff. He knows stuff and he uses it to win. And if you want to win, you should listen to him.
Also, hear Bird's fangirl.
it's a close safe. It was going to go real strong one direction or another. I'm happy with how we went with it. And like, I owe it to him. I literally copy pasted his Rumble loadout and use it on my Hunter. And that's because it works and it's great and I like it. So there you go.
Yeah.
Musical break. Music coming to you this week from friends of the show, Drive! It's a Drive ! Drive! Check them out on Spotify. Just search for Drive and peep the new single. And hey, if you're a musician and would like to hear your music on Crucible Radio, just send us an email. It's so easy. crucibleradio@gmail.com.
But when you're looking at me, it feels like home. Come on over, be a shoulder, let you feel my heartbeat. Come on over, be a shoulder, cry.
All right, welcome back to the show. This is what we do in the second half of these shows sometimes. We have a very special guest, someone who's much better at Destiny than the three of us combined. And this one is no exception. You may have heard of him recently. He's been tearing it up on PC with a controller. He's at the top of the charts for Rumble wins on PC. Thank you for joining the show. Drewski, hello.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Of course.
Yeah, welcome.
Welcome aboard.
I think we've name dropped you like every episode for the past 5 weeks, just randomly. So if now it's like it became like kind of a stalker level situation. So we figured we had to have you on the show to just make it stop being weird. But yeah, we've obviously run into you in the Crucible and stuff, and you've been making some really great content. So thank you for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me a lot. I'm excited to be here and chat with you guys. So again, thank you once again.
For sure. So let's do this. Let's get this out of the way. How did you make your way to Destiny?
As I understand it, you just started playing Destiny like 2 months ago.
Yeah,
right?
This is very recent.
No, I started playing Destiny back in Destiny 1. I've been playing for a really long time. I didn't really get into Destiny in terms of content creation and taking it seriously until like year 3. So I didn't really experience too much of the year 1 and year 2, like, you know, what people would refer to as a lot of the mecca of Destiny PvP per se. But I did play it. I did experience some of it. I was more involved with Halo for a really long time. That's kind of my background. I really love the Halo series. And naturally, I guess I took a turn towards Destiny after really giving it a lot of play and, you know, figuring out things about it. And I started doing content creation in year 3, like I mentioned, and then started going like just really hard with it in Destiny 2, because my whole thing was that if I really liked doing it in year 3, I would just, you know, keep going and go really hard in Destiny 2. And now here I am.
All right. That terrifying feeling when your sarcasm just lands totally flat. So that transition from year 3 Destiny 1 to Destiny 2, right? Like, it's a new game, it's a similar game, it's a different game. But you came into D2 hot, right? You know, you really wanted to push this thing. Making that transition from D1 to D2, did you notice that there was like a change in your play style or a change to the way that you approach the Crucible?
Yeah, I think I'm a lot more critical now in my play, honestly. I don't think I was ever really super critical. I didn't really play too competitively in Destiny 1 at all. So I'm definitely a lot more critical about my play, and I'd say, I mean, a lot less one-on-one engagements. I think everyone has kind of come to terms with that. So that would be the only thing. I think just more team play, more team-focused play. I guess team shooting or team shot meta is like a lot of people have regarded it as. A lot less one-on-ones. So,
what does it mean to be critical about your gameplay? Like, that can sound like a negative thing, but I don't think it is. Like,
no.
What do you?
I'd say that.
Yeah. What does that mean?
Just more giving more effort in my gameplay on a regular basis. I mean, Destiny 1 was a game where I really just played a lot for fun and just didn't really think much about it. I wasn't really caring about getting better at the game or how I really did. Of course, I would try and do well for gameplays here and there, but it was really just a game a lot of the time that I just had fun with. and just played for fun with no thought at all. Now it's something that I guess I'm trying to play a little bit more competitively in Destiny 2, as much as I'm not, it looks like people are trying to push it towards more of a competitive base, and I hope it can get there and be as good as people enjoyed Destiny 1. But it's more so I'm much more critical and competitive and giving thought and effort into my gameplay and what I'm doing a lot of the time, rather than just kind of just screwing around and having fun, I guess, and trying things.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that's pushed you to play differently in terms of like, do you play cautious at all, or do you find you can be perhaps more aggressive but smartly aggressive? Like, how did that sort of change when you started, looking back at clips versus how you played in D1? Was there any noticeable difference?
Oh, in D1, it was definitely just like, I guess, just rush everything or just do
Pull forward,
whatever.
Yeah.
It was just like, it was very, very mindless. Like when I would play, just kind of goof around, I guess. Mm-hmm. I think in Destiny 2, I'm really right now trying to be smart, aggressive but smart, trying to put as much damage as possible in whenever I can, trying to be involved with every engagement with my team as much as I can, but of course staying alive and playing my life. I do have a little bit of a bad habit of just swooping in and over-committing to engagements and being taken advantage of as a result, but just trying to trying to really just be smart about my but be aggressive at the same time, I guess.
Well, I mean, you've earned yourself quite a reputation, specifically in the Rumble neck of the woods recently. And I mean, maybe not all those same things apply, right? Like, not about team play. It's mostly one-on-ones or one-on-one-on-ones. How do you play Rumble?
Rumble, I'd say FFA across a lot of different games like Halo, Call of Duty is my favorite game mode. In terms of Rumble and Destiny, I would say that it's I think Keen Koala has a really good quote on this. I think he said it's a sprint, something along those lines. But you really just have to play as fast as possible. The goal in Rumble is not like you want to get to clear as many engagements as you can. You want to complete as many engagements as you can as quickly as you can. And obviously you want to be successful in those engagements. So the Rumble build that I run uses Shinobu's Vow. And so I have the double skips and then 2 or 3 arc grenade charges. And essentially what that allows me to do is just have the advantage in nearly every single engagement that I go into. I can always skip them once, even twice if I wanted to, and then just clean them up. And that allows me to go through every engagement as quickly and fast as possible. The other thing in Rumble I'd say is that you want to really look for cleanups. I know it doesn't sound pretty, but I really, a lot of the time, am just kind of going around the map, looking or listening to where people are firing and going towards where the fire is and just cleaning people up.
So, Drewski, do you tend to run something different in Rumble, or do you just kind of stick to the same loadout across all game modes?
I do run something different in Rumble. Ever since the cooldown changes is when I started using the arc grenade charges in Shinobu's Vow with Top Tree Arc Strider. And that kind of a loadout for Rumble I think is amazing just because it gives you like pretty much your abilities all the time for every engagement. You're going to have a dodge or a melee for every engagement. You're going to have a skip grenade for every engagement. And that lets you just plow through people. But I tried that in teams. It didn't seem as effective. It wasn't bad, but it's definitely something that excelled more in like one-on-one engagements or like just quick clearing engagements. In teams, I've been using or running Aeon Swift with the arc grenades and then like 2 or 3 arc grenade charges. I think just arc grenades have more capability to wipe teams and deal mass amount of damage to teams in a very short amount of time.
It's so generous of you running the Aeon Swift.
Honestly, it's because I feel like there's not a lot of other exotics to be running in the game right now. I struggle to find a good exotic to run on Hunter.
Well, yeah, and it sounds like you kind of prefer the ones that are more about directly influencing the fight and your ability to defeat an opponent versus, say, one of the more passive things like higher jump or sprint speed. Would you say you want one that gives you, just more ways to kill versus just movement?
Yeah, I mean, I think movement's important, but for me, I've tried running Stompies. It just doesn't, in my opinion, do enough for me. I think there's some players that are really, really great with it. I mean, Walla is someone that I recently have gotten the opportunity to start playing with, and he's just an insane player who uses those so well. And there's some fun builds with even the high jump as well. To me, I just don't think it does enough for me for what stats it's taking away. So with Aeon, it allows me to get a decent amount of resilience, good agility, but also get up to 9 recovery. And I mean, I think in team engagements, having that super high recovery helps you just be in, like I said earlier, I want to be in every fight that I can, every engagement that I can with my team. That helps me do that, I think.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit more specifically. I've, especially since the Go Fast update, I've really been playing around with, kind of rebalancing my stats and using some, I've been running high mobility builds, which has just been interesting, right? Like just something I'd never considered before. Yep. You'd mentioned the 9 recovery as something in team fights. I mean, you're getting shot a lot. You need to recover fast. That second might be what tips it. How are you treating resilience and mobility? Is there like a sweet spot that you have to hit in order for them to feel right?
So I'll start with the resilience because I think that's something that changed recently that not a lot of people know about. The resilience levels, it was pointed out to me by a user on the Crucible playbook, actually, named Dreamwalker. Shout out to him because he has a fantastic spreadsheet that he creates with time to kills. And I had made a thread on the playbook and he said it's all wrong because resilience had changed and I had no clue and no spreadsheets updated this. I don't think a lot of people know this. Resilience levels changed. It has affected some guns, maybe not all guns. But right now, the way it feels is like to get anything even remotely satisfactory out of resilience, you have to be running very, very high resilience. Otherwise, there's not much point in running resilience. So to me, I've been running, I think 3 resilience, and it's only because Aeon gives me like 1 extra point. So I'd be running 2 otherwise. I haven't decided what the best resilience is yet, but I think 2 is kind of my sweet spot. And then I dump what I can into recovery, and then mobility kind of gets the leftover of that as well.
That makes sense, because now I remember inspecting Keen and seeing him running 0 mobility and 10 resistance. I was like, I don't think I've seen 10 in any of those slots ever.
Yeah, and even 10's not as effective as it used to be because of this resilience change. It happened ever since the last update, I think the Go Fast one, but they didn't make any mention of it. Some big things are that, for example, the 140 hand cannons, they can now 1 crit 3 body up to 9 resilience now. Before that was 6. And 10 resilience used to stop the 150 hand cannons and make it take 3 crit 1 body, and now that doesn't happen at all. So resilience is somehow taken a hit to its usefulness, especially with guns like Vigilance Wing being very, very prevalent and top of the meta, kind of, for at least for the time being until the exotic balancing. There's the only way to stop the 2 burst is with 10 resilience, but it doesn't even stop the 3 burst of the body at all either. So there's just not a lot going for resilience right now, I don't think.
Well, you've mentioned a couple guns. Let's talk about your loadout. You mentioned in Rumble your Shinobu's build. I loved that video, and that kind of like, I'm just kind of using your build in Rumble on my Hunter and loving it. It's fantastic. Let's talk about weapons a little bit. What are your go-tos and why do you like them?
Go-tos right now, Vigilance Wing is definitely one of them. I mean, because it's always actually been one of my favorite guns in the game. A lot of people think that it just got good overnight, I guess, and I don't think that's the case. I don't think that was ever the case. The 2 burst to the head is definitely very, very good, but it's rather unlikely. So like so you need like at least I think it's 8 crit 2 body or 9 crit 1 body to get that 2 burst to the head, and it's very, very unlikely that you do so. But before the patch, so a lot of people say that that 3 bursts to the body that gets you a 1.3 second kill without hitting any headshots. Before the patch, it only took I think 1 or 2 headshots to get that same 3 burst kill, which is, I mean, the time to kill or the rate of fire hasn't changed, so it'd be that same 1.3 seconds. So it really isn't that big of a difference. So Vigilance Wing has always been such a top tier weapon in my opinion because it can deal so much damage in such just a little amount of time and has so much range as well. So I've always enjoyed that weapon a lot. In terms of hand cannons, DFA, I really, really like that just because I think Rampage is pretty influential, especially since the resilience changes. You can 2-tap quite a few people, even if you just hit 1 Rampage, or sorry, not 2-tap, I meant 3-tap. You can 3-tap a lot of people at a lot of resilience levels because of even if you just hit 1 Rampage shot or 1 Rampage headshot. Dire Promise is, I mean, I feel like just one of the most consistent hand cannons in the game. What else? Jack, Queen, King is one of my favorite as well. I think those are. Oh, and Traveler's Judgment 5. That's another one.
Yeah, you got me to use that. I was watching you use it the one day in Rumble, and I was like, wait, I have that.
Yeah, I use a lot of what I guess what people would call quote unquote controller friendly weapons. But I mean,
you're among friends here.
Exactly. So I'm a.
This is a safe space. There's no sides here.
No shame controller player on PC. I try and play some mouse and keyboard. I'm not at all good at it. So
yeah,
I just play to my strengths.
Well, let's talk about that. I mean, you're an exceptional player, right? Like you've put in the time, you've put in a lot of research, and you just have the skill with the controller to make up for it. But I mean, definitely everyone who plays on PC has had the experience of going up against a team that's running all hand cannons, clearly like strong mouse and keyboard players. And it can be tough to challenge that. Like that's a pretty distinct advantage for players who have just that mouse and keyboard mechanical skill. Do you think that there's, if you take the best controller player and the best mouse and keyboard player, do you think there's one side that really has an advantage, or it's ultimately just about, what you do with it?
I think mouse and keyboard will always have an advantage. Look at players. I'll name drop Walla again, just being a stellar mouse and keyboard player. How fast he can play, how much he can just twitch from person to person and just deal so much damage in a short amount of time, especially with hand cannons, is so advantageous. Beyond that, I did a comparison video a while back talking about the difference between mouse and keyboard recoil and controller recoil, and it's with mouse and keyboard, it's just so much more pinpoint that you can just be is inherently more accurate of a input method mouse. And you have just such high stability on the weapons as well that with things like hand cannons just gives you such a good advantage. That being said, I think that controller players can definitely still hang. I like to believe that anyways. Again, I use weapons that kind of play to my advantage. I like Vigilance Wing definitely is one of them that I think performs really well with controller. Sidearms as well. They do really well with controller. And you can kind of like counter like mouse and keyboard players, if that makes sense, with those weapons and play style. The biggest thing to me is that for me as a controller player, I just never feel like I'm being outplayed by mouse and keyboard and that inherent advantage that I explained. And I don't mean this in an egotistical way. I feel like all my shortcomings as a player come from decisions, like game decisions, making bad plays, pushing a bad place, not being, I guess, hitting my shots or being accurate. But I don't really ever feel like I'm at a super big disadvantage against mouse and keyboard players per se all the time, I guess.
Yeah, I kind of know where you're coming from with that, because there's not a lot of the engagements where the elements of a mouse and keyboard versus controller are set against each other are like, duels at a distance between two hand cannons, which is not every engagement. There's way too much going on in this game to say that that's all that happens. So maybe, like as a controller user, you do notice maybe once or twice a night, you're like, oh man, that guy really put a nice crit shot on me, or a few crits. Like, and I know why. But in terms of how the game plays, you're doing all this aerial movement, grenade area, area of effect damage and stuff. It's not that kind of simple duelist, point, shoot, click, who can do it the fastest. And oftentimes, the kill goes to the guy who was ready and shot sooner. So it's not like the pinpoint accuracy is what's defeating you every time.
Yep. Again, I think that Bungie's done a really good job of making both the input methods pretty even for the most part. I think at a high level, at a top level, mouse and keyboard will always inherently be better. Will have a higher skill ceiling, I think is what you would call it. I think there's a higher ceiling with mouse and keyboard in terms of what you can do. But I still think that a controller player, like a good controller player, can hang with mouse and keyboard players as well. I don't think that a team of mouse or controller players could beat a team of mouse and keyboard players mainly, maybe because you can play much faster with mouse and keyboard. But I guess as a lone controller player among a bunch of mouse and keyboard players, I feel like I can kind of hang at least a little bit.
You seem to be doing okay. I'm not super worried about you. I'll put it that way. So I think if we have some listeners who somehow, for some reason, don't know who you are, they may know you for your ArcStrider montage, which I believe recently appeared in one of the TWABs.
Yep. Yeah, it did.
Fantastic montage, but I think you did a great job when kind of everyone else was down on it, really showing the capabilities of the ArcStrider Super before Go Fast, and we got a big buff to it. I mean, definitely not claiming that it's the meta super that everyone wants to use. I mean, there's other reasons to use ArcStrider. But you definitely championed a lot of what can be done with combos, what can be done with dodging. Going into Go Fast, I mean, I guess what advice would you give for someone who's not had a lot of luck with that super? What are they missing? What should they be doing?
I think in terms of the super, it's quite forgiving now, I think, in terms of range. So I use what's called the heavy attack now. So that's either your right click or your right trigger attack, the Razor's Edge. That has a lot of range. So instead of just spamming melee at people, a lot of the time I'll dodge, I'll try and be evasive as I can, and you kind of like learn the range of that Razor's Edge, and it goes quite far now. Before the Go Fast, it wasn't quite as far, but even before, I think that's the attack that I almost always mainly use. I don't spam melee on people a lot. It's almost just you melee for the lunge and then finish with the Razor's Edge. But that Razor's Edge attack is so good. The other thing I would say is that ArcStrider has a really great utility to shut down other supers that not a lot of people talk about. Firstly, with the top tree, that Aftershock, what it does is when you dodge, you get 5 seconds to kind of deal damage to someone. If you do, it deals a little bit of bonus damage. So against someone else in their super, it'll make them pretty much absolute, so it won't quite kill them in one swipe, but if they're remotely weak, it'll kill them. Another thing, though, is if you do that and you can melee, and then shoot. So it's like the 2 standard melees, and then there's a combo that does that force push. That will one hit, I think, any super in the game. So a lot of the time when you're going against a striker or a sentinel or another ArcStrider, what you want to do is you just want to melee away from them, just bait them in towards you and try and chase you, and then just turn around and force push them, and then you'll just one hit them. And I don't think there's a lot of people that know that.
I didn't. Like, I knew those perks existed. I just did not know how to use that extra damage for sure.
One thing, we talked about sort of your primary weapons, but one thing I noticed in your Rumble build video is that you were using a shotgun, and you had made the trade-off to use Vigilance Wing for your exotic slot versus using Acreus. And like, Acreus is great, and if you can just run power for the whole game and keep your Acreus up, even better.
Totally.
But without that as an option, what's your go-to for the power weapon slot? And do you find yourself changing that one up sort of based off of the map, or are you pretty set in your ways there?
I change sometimes, but lately I've been running a rapid fire shotgun. Otherwise, sometimes I'll use like the standard hand-in-hand or Fuss Dart, so those more bang for your buck shotguns. But I've really been loving the rapid fire shotguns a lot. Reason being, first reason is because you can kind of play more away from the target and just dump shots into someone. So if someone else has an Acreus or a standard bang for your buck shotgun, like one-shot shotgun, you can kind of just float away for them, or what I like to do with the hunter jump is I like to jump one way and then kind of fade away back and just shoot them multiple times. So I use it more as a 2-shot shotgun so that they can never be in their one hit range comfortably with me. So that's one reason I use it. The second reason why I use it is because with the new ammo economy, ammo is so much more frequent and abundant, especially in Rumble. So that means I have to worry less about getting like a kill with every shot. I can more so just control it and just dump ammo, just dump shots into people and get kills, because it's just so much more frequent and around so much more frequently. You also get to shut down supers with it. So you can just, whenever a Sentinel's rushing me, I just hold down the right trigger with like a Hawthorns or Badlands, and they're dead. So it's just very easy. There's so much utility. And I guess the last thing is that when all else fails, just hold the trigger and dump all your ammo before you die.
I've been running Summerled a fair amount recently, which is one of the sort of high impact shotguns. And it's great, it's got great range. It does a lot of damage. But there have been a lot of times where it's like, I wasn't quite lined up. I left him absolute. I was a little bit out of range. And I would have rather been able to get the follow-up shot off in time and use 2 rounds instead of just, dying. And they take the brick and go do stuff with it. Yeah. It seems like an easy trade-off.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I use, again, with the Hawthorns, it's just in Rumble, you'll see me a lot of times, sometimes even use like 4 bullets on one person. And it's, at the end of the day, I need to, like, especially in Rumble, like I said, it's about winning as many engagements like as fast as you can. So if that's going to take 4 shots of a shotgun off me, that's going to be what it takes. I need to get the kill and stay alive and be moving from engagement to engagement. And a rapid fire shotgun lets me just do that. So it may not be efficient sometimes, but if I can just secure the kill, I mean, that's all I really care about. It's better than dying.
Well, and if you think about that too, it sounds, it's like, it's also an effort to control the ammo. And I think, maybe that's, people don't realize that's kind of a focus now, especially with the different economy. It used to be just 1 power brick, get your highlight clip, and then, go back to using your primary for the rest of the game. But if you're giving up ammo just because you've got the one big gun, you're not really going to set yourself up for a victory over the course of a Rumble game. So burning all that ammo isn't really the worst decision.
Yep. Again, you're limiting other people from getting it. So that's all I care about, is I care about getting kills as fast as possible, stopping others from getting kills. And that helps me do both at the same time.
So here's a question I want to ask. Climbing to the top of the charts, being in that number 1 slot for Rumble, that's impressive. I mean, that's pretty impressive there. And that's the kind of thing where it just feels like it takes, I don't know, it takes like an exceptional level player, like a once in a lifetime player. And wow, this is going to sound a little insulting, but like when I watch you play, it seems like you're not pulling off these like crazy flick shots. It's not super glamorous play. It's just like really solid, consistent across the board play that results in a lot of wins. I mean, how do you tackle something like trying to make it to the top of that board and hold on to a position like that? That just seems like something that is not available for mere mortals to attempt.
Well, I play a lot. I play quite a lot of Destiny 2. I enjoy Rumble and FFA, like I said, more than anything. It's just so enjoyable for me. But in terms of my play, I don't think I'm a fancy player. I've come to accept I don't think I'm a fancy player in any game I've ever played. But what I like to do is I like to try, like you said, to be as consistent as I can, make good decisions. I don't have to be pretty to win matches. So that's the biggest thing. A lot of people might, again, critique and criticize my weapon choices as well. Like a lot of the time I'm using Vigilant Swing and a sidearm or a hand cannon. But again, I'm just playing to my strengths and using weapons that are going to allow me to be consistent, especially something like both those weapons have incredibly high DPS. So it allows me to clean up kills easier in Rumble. So Vigilant Swing, because it does so much damage, I can very easily clean up kills with it. Never mind even one-on-one engagements and its performance in that, but cleaning up kills is so easy with it. And a lot of the time I'm running around with a sidearm because, I mean, the sad fact in Destiny 2 is that we don't have good in-air accuracy, but sidearms do. So I use it a lot. I'm a lot of the time in the air. I'm jumping around in gunfights or making things hard for people and being evasive in ways that they're not used to, because that's an advantage that I get to have because sidearms tend to perform better on controllers. So I'm going to use the inner accuracy and use it for that reason. So it's just things like that I try and do to be more consistent, but I guess it's not necessarily pretty in many ways.
Well, you sure do win a lot. So.
I try to.
You're onto something.
I try to. I try and change up my weapon slots or weapon choices a lot too, but I think just I don't even care so much about the lethality of sidearms as much as I care about the in-air accuracy. It just makes such a difference, I feel like. And a lot of the times I don't aim down sights with them either. I'm just jumping around, hip firing.
So is there anything in the upcoming stuff that you are really looking forward to?
Yes. The exotic balancing has me all types of excited. All kinds of excited. Just because I love how crazy and just unique they're making every weapon. And I love that. What I love about Destiny and why I, play it over Halo now, which is, the previous game that I still, love a ton. But the reason why I play Destiny is because diversity. There's so much diversity in the game. I love all the different weapons. I love the exotics. I love how unique things are. And that's what drove me to make content, is because of how diverse the game is. And with the exotic balancing, I feel like we're just going to see an exotic incorporated into everyone's loadout choice. And we're going to have players that are really good with one exotic or the other exotic, and it's going to be cool to see. I personally am excited for Crimson. That's my favorite weapon in the game. I used it when it came out. It definitely needs help. I'm hoping that the exotic balancing gives it the help it needs, but I'm excited for that.
I actually had maybe a complicated question for you about this stuff, but one thing, we kind of talked about this a little bit, Vigilance Wing. You put out a review of it, especially after the patch, and you kind of proved like, hey, on paper, it's clearly a good gun, but the gun has some weaknesses. And you showed a really awesome clip, and I think it was a 1v1 between you and Cammy,
yep.
and him using peek shots with a hand cannon. I mean, he almost didn't take damage.
Yeah.
And it was a really great example about how you can beat that gun if it's not out in the open.
Yep.
So how do you go about looking at a weapon, especially with these previews where we just see Graviton, we're like, yeah, that's OP as hell. What are we going to do? How do you go about finding the counter to a weapon? And how are you going to go counter all these new exotics when they all just seem so kind of crazy and overpowered?
I think cover is a really important point of gameplay a lot of the time. And I think it's knowing a weapon's strengths that helps you counter it a lot. But like I was saying, cover helps a lot because hand cannons are so powerful in the game simply because they work in the majority of engagements and they take very low commitment for a high amount of damage. I mentioned in that Vigilance Wing video, the thing with Vigilance Wing is it takes a much higher commitment for, pretty high damage. But we're using cover, like when Cammy destroyed me in that clip, it just, they're right there kind of proves, the time commitment in which you have to put in to get the damage off is very important. So I think a weapon like Crimson is going to be really good if it lives up to the hype and what some people are saying. I think Gigs even made a tweet about it. I think it's going to be very good, but that's another weapon where it's going to take more commitment than the average pulse rifle to get the damage off because of the time of the burst. And it's going to take more commitment than a hand cannon, the normal hand cannon. Graviton seems like it's going to have the opposite effect, where it's going to take less commitment than other weapons or other pulse rifles because it's a 2-burst. But again, you can still play against that with cover. So I don't know. I think I look at the advantages of each weapon and how much damage they can do and what time they can do it.
I don't want to leave the topic of exotics. We're just taking a minor detour. But I want to hear you talk about cover a little bit. And it seems like an obvious thing, right? Like if people can't see you, they can't shoot you, and you can use that to your advantage. But I think people maybe don't realize, I mean, certainly I know if I'm not playing well, that I spend a lot of time not using cover. I'm just out in the open. I'm getting shot from wide angles. I mean, when you're actually in game, when you're moving around the map or you see someone on your radar, you're approaching for the fight, tell me, like, as best you can, like, what is the role that cover plays in your mindset? How does that factor into an approach to an engagement?
Yeah, I think that cover is huge. It's something that I'm trying to improve in my gameplay right now is I don't use enough cover, I don't think. Cover allows you to really just put damage in and obviously, limit the amount of damage that you can take or receive. Obviously, if one person has more cover than you, and you're in plain sight, I mean, they have a lot more power to win that engagement because they can just pop in and out. They can play with, they don't have to do it consistently either. Like, you're kind of on your heels guessing when they're going to poke out and just barely expose themselves to deal damage to you, whereas you're just going to be a sitting duck, kind of just waiting and taking damage because you don't have cover. Or on the other end, you can have what people call head glitches, where the majority of your body isn't exposed in an engagement. So it's, they have less opportunity, or I guess the person without cover has less opportunity to get accurate shots on you or damage on you. And I think that's kind of the concept. It's really, really important. I think it's something that goes underrated or not as noticed. That's important in a lot of fights and engagements. You'll see any top player, like I said, Walla, Sonic, or even Lumia is coming back to the game. And I think a lot of those players, whether it's D1 or D2, they are just really, really great at using their cover. And that's why the hand cannons are their weapon of choice, I think.
All right. Detour complete. Thank you very much. Let's talk about some of the other exotics that we know are getting buffs here. Let's talk about Sturm and Drang. And we saw that initial clip where they got it charged up and got that 2-tap with it. But then in that live stream, like they actually pulled it off live. It was like, all right, try and go get one of those. And they went and got one of those. What role do you think Sturm is going to play in the new meta?
I think Sturm is going to be pretty good. I heard that apparently they're buffing the stats a little bit to it as well, so that's going to help. Right now, I think it feels a little clunky for my liking, a little heavy for my liking, so I hope that it gets a little better handling. I think it's going to be good. It's going to be more, I think, more potential or maybe more explosive potential than consistency, perhaps, though. You have to get a kill with a sidearm first, so that means you're going to have to, fulfill a close range engagement. That means you can't, follow up with a melee. You have to get a sidearm kill, which, kind of sets a prerequisite for yourself. But afterwards, you get some really great potential. But again, it's all about potential because you can miss that 2-tap. It's, you're not guaranteed that time to kill. It's only on that first shot that you're getting that burst of damage. So it'll be interesting. I think it'll be really good. Will it be a top tier choice? I think for those with a skilled hand, perhaps, but I'm not sure yet. A lot of weapons that have risen to the top aren't perhaps the most powerful, just the most consistent, right? So we'll have to see, I guess.
Rat King. We all like that GIF. Do you think it's going to have a spot in sort of team level PvP?
Honestly, I don't think so, and I hope I don't eat these words. I was actually quite underwhelmed by the update to Rat King. I was hoping for a little bit more, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think that it going full auto is too much of a difference, per se. I think it'll help. I think it'll be good, but getting you and 3 buddies to use it just to get that, I think it's going to get a little outshined by others that I've mentioned, like Sturm, like Crimson, Gravlance, Vigilance Wing. So I was a little underwhelmed.
You underestimate peer pressure. I will make my team use that.
Okay, a couple more. I guess skipping the power weapons for now. Skyburners. I gotta say, like watching the Skyburners changes, like I liked it. It seemed fun and it seemed like a cool idea. And the idea of just like hip fire lobbing these shots and like in that PvE context, they first showed it off, made a lot of sense. Do you think Skyburners is going to get any play in PvP?
I mean, it might. I think that high impact scouts right now are still not in the greatest place, so that's a little unfortunate. But the hipfire ability seems cool. But I think it's the same kind of discussion where it seems like maybe it's got some potential, but ultimately it is a little bit random, it looks like. So I don't know how consistent it's going to be. For me, I think that consistency is the key. So I'm not sure how good it's going to be or not. I don't think it's going to be super great, but it might have its moments.
Hard light double damage on Ricochet. What do you think?
I think that's going to be interesting. I love hard light. It's one of my favorite weapons. I think that that's going to be something cool or interesting. Again, I don't know how reliable it's going to be, but if you can somehow like just start lobbing shots off the ground at people, that'd be quite an amazing feat. But again, I don't know how consistent it's going to be. It's going to be fun, though.
Really wondering if shooting the ground to bounce it up will do anything. I mean, that could be just insulting if you die to that.
Yeah,
I'm really wondering if that works.
Right now, it's around a 1.4 second time to kill. If it's double damage, we can assume it's a 0.7 if you can do that. Remember, though, you're also on a controller for the majority, I think, of players playing on controller. You don't get aim assist when you're not looking at them, right? So it's going to be a little harder to keep your aim like that. Point. But it might make for some cool flashy plays or like a good defense mechanism from keeping people from engaging you.
That's how I'm shooting guns anyways most of the time, is just backing up and hip firing. So maybe it'll work.
We've seen a couple changes to the power weapons. There was at least 2 I wanted to talk about. The first one being tractor cannon. Tractor cannon, still funny. But we now have tractor cannon adding suppression, doing some suppressing, and also making people weak to void damage, right? You get to do more damage with void. Do you think that that's going to be a play style that you see, or are people kind of giving up a better weapon in their kinetic or energy shot to use it?
It's an interesting topic because I think that with the dawn of really great primary weapons, it kind of does turn the exotic power weapons into question if that's something that you want to really, give up. I think that Tractor Cannon will have a place. I think, even like something like Acrius will have a place as well. I like that it's cool that it does suppress supers, which is really, really neat. That's pretty great. Will people choose it over Acrius? Not sure, because Acrius just one-shot supers, right? So it's like, not sure if it's going to be on that level. But regardless, I think it's a really cool concept. I think it's really cool that it's going to, again,
I think there's something to be said about trolling someone on the other team.
The rudeness.
To the point. I think a lot of people are going to have fun making people upset with that.
Tilt so hard that they lose.
Yep. I think that it's definitely a cool ability. I think that even for the elemental damage, how it buffs it, that's pretty interesting. I like that they're kind of diving a little bit more into their energy weapon system. I think that's interesting.
Yeah, we've seen a fair amount of that happening with these exotic changes. I mean, we've always had like elements like Risk Runner, but now to see that they're sort of doubling down on some of the element changing weapons in Hard Light and Borealis, being able to do that live and on the fly, and then adding sort of specific debuffs that are element specific. I guess that kind of takes us to this last one I wanted to talk about, and that is Borealis. I don't know if you heard, final round, it's back, baby.
Yeah, that gun's gonna be pretty interesting. It'll be interesting to see how often you can get that off. How you get that to activate. But it looks pretty monstrous. Sorry, if you do get it to activate.
It reminds me a lot of what was that gun called? Zen Meteor, where there's this like awesome result if you can do something that's very hard to pull off.
Yeah.
Let alone consistently. I don't even think I ever got a kill with that. Yeah. that bonus round thing. So it'll make for good clips. I think it's always fun to have a gun that makes good clips.
Yep. Well, I think that's something that's cool about a lot of the exotic changes is that they're all enabling some way for you to get a really crazy time to kill or just pop off on someone. They give you the opportunity to do that, which will bring down, as many people I think request, bring down the average time to kill in engagements.
How do you feel about that, by the way, with the, sort of addressing TTK by sort of giving a little bit of a kill requirement beforehand? How does that work for you?
I think it's okay. I think a lot of people would say that they just want a flat TTK reduction, period. I kind of understand both ends of the argument, if that makes sense. I think that people do kind of just want a faster TTK in the game, but Bungie's also saying, well, here you want powerful exotics. This is kind of your key to that. And as someone that's using Vigilance Wing a lot of the time, that kind of is a almost reduced time to kill-ish kind of weapon. So if everything's going to feel like that, I feel like it's pretty decent. Like, I feel like that's pretty good. That's just my thoughts, I think.
That's a really good point that I have not really thought of yet, that if you want powerful exotics, it's tough to have legendary weapons that kill in half a second. That's a really good point.
Right.
I like that.
I mean, some people, I guess, would say, well, then there was Thorn and Last Word. I don't know. I don't mind. I think Vigilance Wing's time to kill is a great model for the game right now. I think it's fast. It has a really great time to kill if you are very, very precise. But guess what? You still get a good body shot time to kill. And it looks like it's going to be that way with some other weapons as well. So that's something to look forward to. I think we have to play it before we judge it. That's a lot of the time what I like to think is just make sure we got to play it before we really make a judgment on it.
Well, switching gears a little bit, none of us have played this next thing, but I'd love for you to judge it for a minute. We, in the TWAB this week, got the most detailed look at ranked playlists that we've seen so far. And it's, there's some stuff here, right? Like, we've got Glory, which is, what I think we normally think of for sort of your rank. And then you have Valor, which is just, the number of rounds you can crank out. If you're below, sort of the top two tiers, you get bonus points for your first three matches. If you're in those top two tiers, you get decay unless you're playing those three matches. We've got this new pulse rifle that you have to hit Fabled in order to get. What are your thoughts? I mean, both in terms of playing it and the effect that you think it's going to have on sort of Destiny PvP as a whole.
I think it's awesome to have a ranking system. I think they've implemented what sounds like a fun, pretty good system. That's going to promote, obviously, people playing actively. There's rewards to chase, which is great. I think that it's a good end game for many players. And I'm hoping that they have, a little off topic, but a PvE equivalent of the same, so that players can cross over and always have something to chase in whatever game mode. They can always be working towards something. And I think that's important. I think you mentioned the pulse rifle. Looks pretty crazy. And that's great because we need weapons that are worth chasing. We need weapons that, end game rewards like that. Rewards for players that are going to give that commitment to getting, really great at the game and, playing ranked. I'm just really excited for ranked in general. My biggest gripe with ranked is game modes. I've been saying this, I think, for a while, but a ranked game mode can't just be like elimination only. It can't just be countdown and survival. I think there needs to be a set amount of game modes, like a good mix of game modes for the best competitive experience that Destiny has to offer. And I think that's involving Clash. I think that involves control or zone control more preferably, or at least some objective game modes, in addition to maybe countdown or survival. So that's my thoughts on ranked.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think they've done a good job with this pulse rifle. This looks like it's a weapon with some prestige to it, but also just like a good weapon that we really want. And it seems like they really did find a way to get people in that comp playlist playing those competitive modes outside of trials in maybe a way that's never happened before. I think I kind of agree with you, right? Like as somebody who prefers, I just like Rumble and Clash. I enjoy all the game modes, but I really feel at home there. It would be nice to have some element of that. One thought I have, this specifically on this pulse rifle, this is Redrick's Claymore. We don't know. It sounds good. We don't know how good it actually is. Is this just a particularly good pulse rifle, or is this giving a distinct advantage that people are going to be able to keep Outlaw up enough to really be running a gun at a faster time to kill than most other people on the map? Do you think that there's an issue there with players who haven't had time, or who are solid players, maybe they're just coming back to D2, but have not sort of had that time to grind their way up to Fabled in competitive, just not being on a level playing field with somebody who's got those weapons? Or do you think that that's kind of more in the background and, one gun's not going to change it?
I don't think this one gun's going to change it. I think it's going to be a very good weapon. It's going to have a lot of potential. It's still a high impact pulse, which they're not bad right now, but they aren't great either. You have to remember you have to get a headshot and then reload to proc that. And you have it for a good amount of time. But again, I think it's the same way I explained Vigilant Swing. It seems like a little bit, maybe like a half step above other weapons, or gives you some sort of explosive potential. But I don't think it's going to be anything more than some exotics that you're already looking at with the changes coming. I just don't see it being like just incredibly overpowered. Also, they mentioned that Fabled, I think that's the rank that you're supposed to get to get it, is something like the equivalent of high gold. I remember someone told me somewhere that they had mentioned that. And I think that's a very realistic goal for many players. I think that's totally attainable and can be achieved by many players.
Yeah, they do describe it here as about 40% of the way through your journey in glory ranks, which seems...
It's less than half.
Reasonable.
So I think that if you give a good time commitment, like if you commit to playing the game, to getting better at it, I think that you're going to be able to naturally get it, I think.
So Drew, one last thing. I want to know what Masterwork exotic you're going for.
What Masterwork exotic? I'm in love with the Crimson. I want that gun to be my go-to weapon for everything if I could. I just love the way it looks. I love the way it performs, or I guess the 3-round burst. I think it's so unique. I love the health regeneration. So if whatever that exotic Masterwork will be, I want it. And I guess otherwise it'd be Vigilant Swing, which I feel like is such a dirty answer now. But like I said, it's been one of my favorite weapons since the game came out. So I would want that. Yep.
Yeah, I really feel like you could do some work with Crimson in Rumble, especially when it's all about just the most engagements possible. No waiting for your health.
It's like a freaky sidearm. So I get it.
Exactly. It's. I hope it gets the help it needs, because right now it's just it's very difficult to use and be successful with.
Well, I guess we're winding down. We've talked about a lot of stuff today. Is there anything that you're excited for in the future of Destiny that we haven't talked about yet? What are you waiting for?
I'm not sure. Really just the exotic weapons were it's just all I'm excited for right now. I can't stop thinking about it. I guess on the roadmap we see in September, we have some big changes coming, and I'm not sure how I feel about that yet. I think that the way that I've thought of the whole weapon slot changes that may or like I don't know how they're going to be doing it, but there's something about that in the timeline. I'm not sure how I feel about that yet. I think that it could work if they balance it correctly. It's going to be interesting, to say the least, to see that with the current time to kill that we have. So I'm excited to see what they do with it and how it's balanced. But I'm nervous as well. Like, yeah.
I know, we're kind of like I'm just along for the ride at this point now.
Yeah,
no idea what the
really
future holds.
I mean, I feel like I've really, especially recently, tried to just look at every angle of the argument as best as I can. Watch streamers that really just love the way that D1 was balanced, play with people that really loved the way that D2 was balanced, and there's just merits on all sides of what people enjoy and what people want, and I kind of get all of it. So for me, I'm just along for the ride. I think at this point, I'll probably play the game and enjoy it, at least to a degree, no matter what happens. And I'll be pretty well committed to it and just want to do what I need to do to be getting better all the time. So I guess that's my outlook.
Listen to people, try and see both sides of it, along for the ride, have fun. Hot take, real hot take right there. I know. Drewski, this has been a pleasure. I'm so glad to see your name really becoming a household name in the Destiny world. If people want to go learn more about you, watch you do your thing, where can they find you on the internet?
You can find me at youtube.com/Drewski's channel. That's Drewski with a Y. And then Twitch is twitch.tv/Drewskis. So it's just the first part without the channel. And then I believe my Twitter is also Drewski's channel. So if you want to find me, you can find me there.
All right, go check them out.
Awesome. See you in Rumble.
Likewise.
I hope not. I mean,
I just know.
Twice to say hi.
It's inevitable.
Yeah,
I just know.
I'm good. Yeah.
Oh man, what a great interview with Drewski this week. So good.
I feel smarter already.
Make me excited for when Rumble eventually comes back. Or custom matches so I can play with Fallout and Drewski and Cammy again.
Those were the days. Yeah, it's a real Rumble free dry spell for just a little bit longer. But hold on tight. Anyways, this is going to bring us to the end of the episode. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. Where should people go? I don't know, crucibleradio.com?
Yeah, go to crucibleradio.com. Check out the store. Check out the maps. Leave us a review on iTunes, preferably 5 stars. Support us on Patreon, patreon.com/crucibleradio. Anything helps us pay for all the great things that make this show happen week after week for almost 150 weeks.
Almost.
That's crazy.
That's exciting. Hey, have you ever thought to yourself, man, I like Crucible Radio, but I wish there was another show where birds could just talk for like 2.5 hours with people who feed them questions so he can keep on talking and also have a good back and forth? Go listen to the RNG Cast. They put on a fantastic show. You can hear all of us on there, and I had so much fun doing it. It was such a great conversation. Twitter.com/the RNGcast.
And while supporting our fellow content creators is a nice thing that Birds is doing, you can also just check out my other show, Gaming in Hell, and just support me talking more. It's really fun. We take on, we mostly talk about cults.
Yeah, Dan's really got a thing for recommending cult documentaries.
Yeah, that's good.
Never gonna watch. Someone's got to watch them. I'll just direct my questions to him. All right, I think that does it this week. Thanks for listening. Love you, everyone.
See ya. Goodbye. Love you. Bye.
It feels too good to
Hello everyone, Swain here. You know that Crucible Radio is your source for all things Destiny PvP, and I know you want more than just this video, so make sure to head on over to crucibleradio.com to find all of our past episodes, detailed Crucible maps, t-shirts, and much, much more.